Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Finally Feel Free event. Today, I have such a special guest, Shannon Pardini. She is a visionary DNA intelligence pioneer and expert, skillfully blending arts like writing, singing, and hypnosis with multidimensional energy work. She channels organic light frequencies to repair distorted DNA and outdated belief systems, enhancing personal and collective consciousness. Shannon empowers others to unlock their psychic abilities, leading to energetic freedom and alignment with their soul's true purpose. With over 20 years of experience in energy work and personal transformation, Shannon's expertise extends to DNA activation, ascension guidance, and hypnotism. Trained in neurofeedback and deeply influenced by her healing journey with mystic Kahuna, she excels in unraveling past life energies and subconscious patterns. A certified Usui and celestial Reiki healer, Theta healer, and a Hatha yogi for 25 years, Shannon's practice is rooted in shamanism, meditation, and energy medicine. Her collaborative experiences with enlightened beings have endowed her with profound insights, which she integrates into her healing work. Also, as a filmmaker, Shannon has documented global shamanic practices, combining ancient wisdom, clairvoyance, and modern science to transform lives. Shannon, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to just have a chat with you and to plug into your audience. So, again, thank you for the introduction. And yeah, just excited to be here.
So excited to have you and thank you for being here. We're going to talk, ascension, frequencies, emotions, embodiment, the whole lot. So I just want to start off by asking you, because we are in 2024 now, and in many ways, we've ascended already. But where are we in terms of ascension, just as a collective and also on an individual level?
Great. I really like this question. Yeah, 2024 to me is a realized, as humans, we're understanding how impressionable we are through our own limited beliefs and programming, and then the narratives that are being tossed around in the global, right, uniting. And so I think that in 2024, as we're understanding ourselves and the consciousness within each and every one of us, I think that we're starting to go inward. There's a lot of talk of embodiment and ascension, and whether one knows what that truly is. It's nice that everyone's, trending in that same area of field of frequency. So again, on 2024, I think it's more of that self-realization. It's actually seeing that we are the co-creators of everything that's happening in the external, and that, the innate within us is what's going to create the most profound change. And it's not simply just that. It's really, again, the ascension and the embodiment this time around is different. It's really getting to know the detailed aspects of what the, design is within us to work our own software program, so we can start getting out of these limited frequencies that are projecting outside of ourselves. And so again, 2024 I think is really about receiving what ascension and embodiment truly is, and then the mastery. So many of us have been doing these different types of energetic work, or working on a very intuitive level, and also it's, this mastery is being fully, I think, integrated as well. So I think 2024 it's going to be fascinating and interesting to watch the like the foundation of the what's the best way to describe it, of the 3D reality. We're seeing that the hologram of itself was never built on anything. And then as we are attuning to what we truly are in this human potential, we're seeing that when we advance within, we actually create a field of frequency that actually has structure and foundation. So 2024 to me is, it's going to be a little rocky, but actually integrated in just, more information and intelligence of how we roll as ascending and embodying, fields of energy.
I love that. And just on an individual level, because I know you talk a lot about activating DNA and like innate frequencies. And you also mentioned, our software program. So just for people who are not familiar with you talking about or anyone talking about these things in that way, could you just tell us a little bit about our individual kind of worlds?
Yeah, well, again, like I said, like I think at this point we all know that the different emotions within our experiencing are coming through programming within ourselves, right? I think that we've been in this reincarnation loop. We've had a lot of lifetimes. There's carryover from patterns and imprints, and within the body, just like a computer, is a storage system, right? It stores all types of information. And so for the human experience, it's that information is key for us to, gain the freedom and the autonomy through understanding what that truly is. And so on a personal level, again, understanding that the emotions, the imprints, the different cycles of looping or any type of limitations that we see in our daily life, it's just information right now. And it's also telling us frequencies we're holding deeply, right? That are just creating a magnetic to bring in more. So on that level, really understanding ourselves and how we store information, I think is really important. I think that, that's what we've never really had truly in this experience is going through the embodiment process and really understanding where all these little details go within the physical body and how we start to override that actual programming within us very deeply inside, but do it in a way where it's creating a different field for the body to shift.
And so talking a little bit about embodiment, where do we store that in our body?
All over, right? Like within the organs, they hold different frequencies. Within the fascia, the blood, they all create their own holograms. With the organs itself, if someone, I'm just going to use examples, if someone has victimization, whether it was carryover from a past lifetime or in this particular lifetime, right? That it's a multidimensional experience of how they're seeing things on a daily basis. So what would that look like? Well, again, it's if someone is looking outside of themselves and having an experience where they're feeling victimized or abused, they're going to pull in that frequency, and then it's going to go to an area in the body that's a match. Well, lungs hold grief, right? Heart holds grief. Going to the kidneys are holding fear. The liver is anger, all that. And then even the fascia, it's like the fascia itself has different sensations of what it starts doing. It starts going through a dehydration process because as we're going through these like a limited belief or experience that we keep carrying with us, it keeps targeting these certain areas. And then sooner or later, the more that we do it, right, for years, because we're not learning how to integrate or process to release the frequency to hold something higher, that's when disease starts happening. That's when we start, it's co-creating in a place where we still keep magnetizing that frequency in different areas of our life. So the body, again, is the purification of the body is just so important. And we're all learning that. We're all doing, the limited belief and all that different work, however energetically you want to process it. But at the same time, what's not happening here is the integration, fully getting into the body and self-realizing what that is and what these fields are and how to shift and change them and uproot them so they're no longer a part of the magnetics or the emotions and so forth.
And I know this audience has really been on a journey for a while, but in your work, so if somebody, looks in their 3D reality, they realize they are still holding certain frequencies, like limiting frequencies that is not going to benefit them, which is not going to help them ascend. How do they start to override that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you got to start simple at first. One, you got to catch it. You
Mm,
have to realize, in your daily life, it's just like neurofeedback. When you're going into that chemical emotional reaction, that's all it is. That chemical reaction is not natural to the body. The
mm,
body is so sophisticated. Again, our human, computer system here is so sophisticated. It already knows what it is. It already knows how to purify and become whole. And so anytime we're in some type of distress or we're having emotions, or, they're coming from those stored beliefs and those imprints and so forth. And so the first part of the equation is catching it. It's in
mm,
knowing, like, hey, I just had some sort of distress or chemical that is not true to me. Well, how do I know it's not true to me? Because the body's sending all these fire signals. It's like, hey, you know,
mm,
that that's not who you are. Get back in your lane. Because
mm,
again, with the physical body, it's so intelligent, and we know this already. We do yoga, we get into all these meditative states to hold a field, right? Well, that's the body's natural field where it wants to be. That's why it's so sound and it feels good. And when you're holding those fields and doing it daily and practicing, it creates those type of timelines in your life again.
mm,
But if we don't get to the discordance in the programming to start releasing that, we keep ingesting those frequencies and thinking it's our own. Well, again, going back to your question, what do we do? Catch it first. The
mm,
more that we catch it, we realize that that's not who we are. We don't have to get so caught up in the identity and the chemical and what we think we are. We really have to pull ourselves back to these fields that we're all trying to hone,
mm,
right? And work so hard for. Well, that's what the body wants to be. It
mm,
wants to be in that state. And that's why it feels so good and sound. And again, our bodies so intelligent, always giving us indicators of to get back into your lane, to pull yourself out of that chemical. And people are like, oh, it's so hard. Well, it's not, it's practice.
mm,
Again, in 2024, we really have to start, participating in our shift, and
mm,
it has to be activated in a very innate way. None of this is going to come from outside of ourselves. No
mm,
one's going to come in and save us, or all these different things that we try to put outside of us. It's still separation. It's like, again, let's get sophisticated and let's really learn how to move through these fields and understand what they truly are. So I hope that that answers your question.
Yeah, it does answer the question in the sense like we have to first of all identify like where we are feeling, that we need to change, we might have to, but do we disengage? So say something comes up and we realize, it's creating a situation in our body which doesn't feel good, which feels like a lower level emotion, a lower level frequency. We are in that, we've caught it. What's the next thing that we do? Is it that we disengage from that, go back into ourselves and override it by thinking of new possibilities? Like, what's a way, and you can give any example that comes to your mind, what's a way that we can, after we've caught it, start reprogramming and coming back to who we really are?
Right. Okay. So I like this question a lot, and I'm just going to use it from what I do and what I teach. So I take people through hypnosis clearing, and through the hypnosis process, I walk them down a particular belief system. So I'll listen to someone for maybe like 20 to 30 minutes. I can already catch
Mm,
the dominant frequency that they're holding in their body that's creating their reality or what's happening in their environment. And I can see the multidimensional aspects of it. So as soon as I catch that, I will take them through the process. I'll go into theta brainwave with them and connect it with their physical body so we're not separate from it. But I'll get into a meditative state, no matter what that is. And then I'll walk them through all the frequencies. And so I'm channeling, but I'm seeing, like, say again, let's use the victim one. I'm
mm,
going through the victim frequency, I'm pushing down, going into the next frequency that's going to show himself, but I'm doing it all from an inward state. So
Mm,
as I'm working within their physical body, moving through these different frequencies, they're actually seeing the layer being stored underneath each one till I
mm,
actually get to the very root. And then once I get to the root, I can bypass to go to a place where they're hearing me so embodied and so clearly. And then I can look up at all the frequencies with them and I can show them, look, they all have their own frequency. They all have a multidimensional aspect to it, and so forth. And then from there, what I do is I allow them to release it, but releasing just let go of that experience for a minute. And then I start going into different fields to override a lot of their experience. So at first, like for me, it's teaching them what these
mm,
frequencies are. I don't, it's not always easy for someone to just like, oh, I caught my emotion and then I'm going to go override. People really have to learn these higher frequencies that they've never felt or held before. And so I go through a sequence of it. And so that's just one way when I take people through hypnosis and clearing, where I teach embodiment. But again, I've been doing this for so long now. There's so many different ways that people learn,
mm,
right? This actual process. And there I really have to get them out of the head. You
mm,
really have to drop out of that and you have to go into the experience itself of what these embodied frequencies are to actually create shift. Because if you're only holding them from a short period of time, it's not going to shift. It's like the body has to fully understand it at a certain point. And when these fields really come online for you, well, then it starts to dissolve the what is it, the limited programming within the body or the discordant frequencies, because you gain a sense of, oh, okay, I felt that so much, I know that's not
mm,
the truth of who I am and what it's creating in the body. And when you're holding these higher frequencies and start the practice of it, you realize the shift, because it's just going to show us anyways, because that is a part of us. Again, is we are just the human body is so intelligent that it wants to hold these pure frequencies.
mm. Yeah, no, I love that. And how can we start supporting ourselves to hold higher frequencies? Is it like, how can we support our body to, say we've overridden something, but then how do we hold that frequency?
Again, it's a practice,
Yeah.
right? It's a practice until it becomes second nature. And
Mm,
so we're consistently doing these practices of yoga or whatever it is that's getting one into flow state, where they're in another field, where they're not
mm,
necessarily bypassing, but they're getting away from the programming of the body for a little bit. But it's again, it's a practice. I teach this, but there's different areas you have to master within the physical body. It's like learning to ride a bike and putting on these intelligent training wheels until you can take them off, because there's a few things within the software system and the physical body itself that
mm,
you have to learn to work in a new way, the way that we've been currently doing things and taking in our information within the body. We've learned how to do it in a way where it brings in continuous loops. But, to answer your question again, it's really coming in innately to understand these different fields that the body holds beyond programming,
mm,
and it can be really simple. But
mm,
again, to go in for someone simply to override, well, it's the first part really is paying attention to what your choices are. Where are you creating right now? What are you choosing every day? And what does that frequency feel like?
mm,
I like to tell people, I don't know why this is coming up, but
mm,
I like to tell people to do the fives, right? Where write the five people you hang out with, write the five foods you hang out with, write, the five things that inspire you, and rate them from a 1 to 10. And you can do it with anywhere in your life, but
mm,
see where the frequency is being held. Is that truly serving you? If it's a 10, great. You're inspired by it. It's a yes. But
mm,
if it's anything less than, it's a maybe and a no,
mm,
and so it's a good way to get in touch with ourselves on a frequency level of coming from what, not the ego, but coming from what the body truly wants. And so again, honing these fields, that is like a yes. If it's a yes, follow that because it is particular to your timeline. But
Mm,
if it's anything else, if it's a maybe or a no, it's just a no. Like keep
mm,
moving into choices that create a field that is 100% yes field. And that's how you start overriding is
mm,
again, is it's through choice. You're the only one that's creating this experience for yourself. And so if you want to clean it up, let's clean up our choices, but make sure the people, places, and things in your environment, are coming from a sound field that your body loves attuning to and being a part of and actually attuning for yourself. Because really, when you're holding these higher fields, then you're just attuning fork to your experience.
I love the two things that you mentioned. Number one is flow state. And sometimes I ask like Shannon questions or other speakers questions because I'm kind of getting the audience to like ask themselves that question as well, because obviously the flow state is different for each person. You have to really think about what is going to put you into that flow state where you can receive the guidance and like, hold those frequencies that you're bringing in. And the next thing is also, Shannon, like how you spoke about choice, because I think however long we've all been on a spiritual path, there sometimes comes a like kind of glass ceiling or something where we feel if we haven't seen it or we haven't heard somebody else talk about it, we're not really like opening up to the possibility of choices that are available for our individual lifeline or frequency or soul path, whatever you want to call it. So what can somebody do when they are not, like, if you are here to really walk your path and like innovate your life and like go on this journey that you've come to go on, and you're kind of like overriding these frequencies and like choosing things that you want, but sometimes if you don't know what can exist out of that, for example, in the realm of relationships, you are not attracting the best relationships, maybe that that's not your true what you really want to experience. You're trying to override that. You're doing the yoga, you're doing all the stuff that gets you into the flow state. But how do you tap into that possibility that is available for you?
Well, you have to
That
look at
makes
the limit.
sense.
Yeah, you have to look at the limitations. What is creating
Yeah.
that discordant frequency within the relationship? Because it's not the relationship. The relationship's just a mirror of what's
Mm,
already inside the body. So again, it's really coming into a space of there's a point in time where we realize enough is enough. And I really want to understand what this ascension embodiment means. So I'll give you an example for me is, I think in 2019, 2020, I was already really deep in my mastery, but there were still frequencies coming up in my body. And so I took myself through a year of hypnosis, almost 8 hours a day where I would trace everything, every different type of belief to the root to just master and see what that was.
mm,
Right. And so there's so much information in that. I was able to really see what we're holding. And then I started doing teaching, well, not teaching, I was doing hypnosis and clearing on other people because I had this particular mastery. And so I was watching within them how they were holding, the same type of frequencies and how I could go in and override. So again, to answer your question, it's a full body practice. It's, just like I said, if you want to hone and understand this, you can work with people, someone like myself that's going to hold these fields that you've never held before. But also, like, if you're going to do it yourself, you have to catch what's going on. That's the first step, right? Most humans are suffering in the same frequencies of survival, of separation, of suffering. It's we're addicted to it because all the narratives are around it, all the music, all the
mm,
movies, like everything is always being projected in these same deep, deep root belief systems, and
mm,
it's not who we are whatsoever. But again, it's like we have to get really intelligent about what we're taking in and claiming as our own, because again, the human body is none of that.
mm,
It's these embodied higher fields that you have to learn what that truly is soundly, and let the information soak in the body so the body can hold it, right? Again, it's like riding that bike. When you ride the bike and then you fully learn how to integrate, and then it's just flow state. Well,
Mm,
that's the same thing about mastering emotions and frequency. The difference between it,
mm,
emotions aren't what we are. We're frequency.
mm,
This whole human electric experience is all about mastering frequency. You want to be a well-tuned instrument, the guitar that plays every note so cleanly and purely. Well, we're the same way. Let's learn how to play those frequency notes within us that are beyond these glitchy, matrixy, limited belief frequencies, because
mm,
again, there's only so many of those. There's only so many of the limited limitations. They all have the same root at the end of the day, which is going to be
mm.
survival, suffering, not knowing what's next, really deep stuff. And don't get me wrong, that stuff is tough to process, but we're at a point, we're in 2024. It's time. Like, let's
Yeah.
stop talking about it and let's do the embodiment work where the physical body can come online and do what it already is waiting for us to do. It's fully
Mm.
waiting for us to show up and start, becoming that embodiment of autonomy. And it will show us what to do when we are holding frequencies that it is soundly already within, if that makes sense.
No, that totally does make sense. And I know that I feel like just this interview is just going to be like, people are going to listen to it and they're just going to receive information and receive downloads and whatever. Like, that's just how I feel about this interview. Um, so it's just kind of sit with what comes through for you, which is going to work for you. Um,
And there's
Shannon,
very specific ways. Again, it's
yeah.
like we could get into very deep details of how one ascends their body. Like I said, it's one of those things where for 2 years, I've watched taken people through the process, and it takes at least 2 to 3 months to
Mm,
fully hone and hold pure fields within the body, but it can be faster too. And
mm,
so again, we don't have to guess anymore, but at the same time, we have to get realistic with what we're co-creating, and that nothing's outside of us.
mm.
Again, we are the co-creators and nothing is outside of us. So let's start getting more intelligent in what this human experience is together.
Mm. And I think a lot of people know that in theory that, it's like the world is a hologram, the 3D reality mirrors what is internal. And people, know that in theory and they repeat it to other people. But it's like, do you actually believe that first and foremost? Because if you don't believe that, then none of this can land for you. So you also have to ask yourself, do you truly believe that you co-create your reality and that everything is a reflection of you? Because unless you really land that within yourself, there's no point looking for the answers, because it's also about, yeah, realizing I mean, it's my truth for sure, and it's your truth, Shannon, but like you have to see, is it the truth for you as well, for the audience?
I love that.
Um,
Yeah, I love
yeah.
that. Once one can release the programming, it's actually when you can bring in that higher information that you speak about, where you don't even have to go outside of yourself. It's just going to be shown. And so again, there is a very organized state of how to access things that aren't being built on the foundation of the matrix. There's
Mm.
a place where we can tap in and fully realize, and then the information starts coming in purely.
Yeah, and it's also about realizing how deep the programming really does run. And like you say, Shannon, like if you're still listening to certain music or watching certain films or reading certain books, like the majority of the books, films, and music, unfortunately, on this planet is going to support that old programming, unfortunately. So it does take that discipline, and even to be in events like this or be in communities like this where you can access people who are on the same journey as you. Because even when you were saying, Shannon, like your 5 people you hang around, your 5 foods, like it's so important to see that you have to change how you're living to be able to ascend. If you feel like you can stay the same and ascend, that's when it's going to get really difficult because you're going to keep bumping against like the old programming. So I'm really glad that this was mentioned because it doesn't get talked about enough in this
Oh,
community. Because people are always
beautiful,
like,
beautiful summary there. I love it. Yes.
yeah, because I find that people are always looking for like the new answer or the next best thing or like the next technique, but it really does start with you and where you're at and cleaning that up first, looking at the path and the foundation of the belief system that that you hold and that you want to change and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, Shannon, thank you so much for this beautiful interview. And I know that you are going to actually like channel a meditation, straight after that you're going to offer everybody as a free gift. So we don't know what that is yet because we have that luxury of Shannon channeling it. So we'll put that in the link below for all of you to access and be part of Shannon's community and learn more about what she's all about as well. And do you have any final words for the collective audience about finally feeling free?
Yeah, I think it's just that. It's, finally feeling free is a frequency.
Mm,
And, attuned to that. It's the body at its most advanced already knows that field. And so that's a place for each and every one of us just to play and hold soundly in the body. What does finally feeling free actually feel inside the physical body?
mm,
Well, once you feel that, embody it. Like, see
mm,
if you can understand the conscious of what that truly is without your programming,
mm,
without limitations to it. So, with that said, I honor everything that you're doing and what you're co creating and bringing forward, and, letting me have a voice and a share with all this collective group that's really wanting to, bring our mastery together. And yeah, I think 2024 is an exciting time for each and every one of us. And the beautiful thing is, the ascension and embodiment doesn't have to be hard. You can really simplify the process. And by simplifying it is just start getting attuned to what your body truly likes and what it doesn't at the end of the day, and make
mm,
choices from that place that is sound. It's a perfect vibrational field,
mm,
where everything is alignment and yes, and that is takes dedication,
mm.
to be really honest and authentic and embodied within yourself.
I love that final piece about like what does your body actually like? Like that's so simple, because your body will tell you, I like this, I don't like this, and it's just to follow that as a great step. So thank you for adding that in. Thank you for being here and all the work that you do and the expertise that you've amassed throughout all these years and sharing that with us.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. I appreciate you and your time. And yeah, it's such a pleasure to be here and to know you. So thank you for everything.
You too. Thank you.